We have good discussions, sometimes even healthy debate, but at the end of the day, it's all about the IC first. And it is an agile process, and we've made huge course corrections and changes throughout the cycles. And I can pick up the phone and call any of my colleagues. They can do the same and say, hey, what about, or I need your help with, and it's done. And it's done, again, with the vision of the community, not just my or their particular agencies in hand. So it's working very, very well.
Yeah, I would concur with that. I've been in this role about 1.5 years as well. I've never asked anybody here for help and had them say no. Every single time I've asked for support or assistance, be it a person or information or ideas, they've replied and provided what I had asked for and more. It's frankly, it's incredible. I've never had an experience like that where there's been that level of comradeship in tackling the mission.
I feel like we should all be holding hands.
I'm going to join them on the couch, I told you.
Everybody come to the couch.
Yeah, we're going to all be on the couch.
So one last ad hoc question from Terry here, not from the bear. You guys have tremendous perspective, and you have ability to sometimes see just over the horizon, which many of us can't see. Is there anything disruptive that just notionally you see today that we should be keeping our eyes on?
So I'll talk about where I see it from the aspect of digital transformation. I think that we've got to be able to embrace automation, artificial intelligence, machine learning within our environment to help us. From a DIA perspective, many of our processes are manual. We spend a lot of time hunting for data instead of having the data come to us and allowing it to inform and lead in things. We also have a huge corpuses of data that are in stovepipe repositories, and the scariest thing for me is that many of those repositories are human beings that are going to retire probably within the next 5 years. So how do we get that knowledge out of their head or out of their file cabinet or out of the boxes that's in their office and get it and free that data so that it can be used to help inform and to make decisions? That's one of the things that I know that we have to work on inside of DIA that I see coming.
So I think obviously it's worth placing bets on the big disruptive, the hopeful disruption that AI and machine learning will bring us. But I gotta tell you, I'm a little more looking at disrupting the way government does business today. Mm-hmm. In my agency, in particular at NGA, I'm looking for disrupting the way we do acquisitions. I'm looking for good ideas on how to bring in new talent. So, I'll put 100 down on AI, but I'll put 1,000 down on what we can do tomorrow with changing the way we do business and disrupting the processes and filling out our technical core with developers and technicians and analysts, data analysts that can really make a difference in today's fight.
I mean, I'll foot stomp that. I think it's, those things are some of the blocking and tackling things, but if you can't find the right people to implement the mission and you don't have the right acquisition processes or capabilities in place to actually get to that new disruptive technology, it really doesn't do you that much good. So, we're doing the same thing, looking at just totally zero-based review of all of our contracts. How can we do it differently? How can we do it faster? And then generally on the recruitment side, it's been, well, that's somebody else's mission. My job is to deal with them once they get in the door and make sure we give them great work and retain them. Well, it's not. We got to get on the edge and help recruit those people in as well. So I agree with you 100%. Get the people and fix the processes. We can take advantage of the disruptive technology. That will make a material difference.
And I think I want to build on that in a way of looking at the human capital as the disruptive piece in a way. The young folks who are coming in now and who are going to be coming in the next 5 to 10 years are going to have completely different expectations of what it is to work in an office environment than we grew up with. And you got to it before with your question about wireless and a skiff, which we think is anathema, and they're going to be stunned and they're not going to sort of accept that. So I think just the expectations of the next generation coming in, they're going to be disruptive because we're not going to, some of the just accepted ways that we do business aren't going to work aren't going to work for them, and they're going to push us to be sure to adapt to that. I think something too that's sort of challenging the way that we do business is the fact that everyone can be a developer now, that it's not something that the CIOs just own. Everybody is out there creating and producing, and we can't expect to own everything and have it all in one monolith. And how do we account for that? For all this development happening at the grassroots level, and it could be duplicative, and it could be not always lined up, and how do we make sense of that when it's not something that we can all control from the top on down?
Well, thank you all again. I just came to this mission space a few weeks ago after a long career at another side of the IC. What I found remarkable was, and just reflecting on this on the way out here, is first I'm like a kid in a candy store, all this technology here. There's just new, exciting toys for me, is the way I see it. But what I reflected on was that as I got into a new mission space and I got into new systems and applications and capabilities, my PKI followed me, right? Instantly, I'm guaranteed access to an entire new provision of mission that I had no access to before. And I was reflecting on PKI and how long that took us to iterate through and get right. But now that we have it right, look how easy it is, right? You can implement identity management in days on a new capability or application. And you know, we can even go back as far as our IC badges and things like that, is that there is this iteration through, and sometimes it does take us trial and error to get it right. But the concepts remain.